Margaret Sanger was literally she was a terrible, terrible woman. Yes, she is the founder of Planned Parenthood. It was not called Planned Parenthood when she founded it, I believe sometime in 1921, but she was a deeply, deeply dark and evil woman. She got together with a group of Marxists and some very, very dark, evil people and was heavily influenced by them. She was not a good lady. Matter of fact, I'll go back and refer to some of her evil writings. She is literally the patron saint of what they call the feminist movement. The feminist movement is the single most destructive tool ever deployed in human history towards women. It is. She was a dark, evil woman. From the year 1903 to 1910, Margaret Sanger was introduced to a series of Marxist and socialist radicals in the New York labor movement. I want people to understand that. She was primarily inspired by them. She was driven to a place of excitement over the stuff that she was beginning to learn. She had a belief. Let me read it to you. The belief was revolutionize society by breaking down sexual and societal morals. She believed that political revolutions require social and interpersonal revolutions because if people are moral, they will be immune to the political pipe dreams of revolutionaries. She actually believed that the social revolution began with the sexual revolution, and if you can sort of titillate the masses, that was her view, that's what she believed. If you can sort of hypnotize them in that way, and break down their morals and their inhibitions, they'll be easier to control. That, by the way, comes straight out of Satan's playbook. That is exactly what Satan tried to do in Genesis and was successful in doing so. It comes right out of his playbook. She was directly inspired. In 1914, her very first published paper was actually called Women Rebel. This is a terrible, terrible writing. Let me read one section from it. The slogan that came from this paper was, there are no gods and no masters. That's kind of what drove the force of this paper. By the way, I want you guys to understand, Adolf Hitler actually attributes much of his view in why he justified the murder of Jews through the writings of Margaret Sanger and her affiliates. He was influenced by her. I want people to understand this. This is really important. She depicted the vision of ideal woman. This was her description of an ideal woman. This is not a joke. This is straight out of her writings. Rebel women claim the following rights: the right to be lazy, the right to be an unmarried mother, the right to destroy, and the right to love. Sounds oddly familiar to the movement known right now as Black Lives Matter, being led by lesbian women who are literally not activists for the black race. They are activists for this type of movement right here. It's satanically inspired. Her writings on the sexual revolution, on contraception, by the way, many people might not know this, but did you know the term birth control that everybody uses today was a term that Margaret Sanger invented? I want people to know that. That was a term she invented. Nobody understood the term birth control. Birth control was not a term used prior to Margaret Sanger's existence, okay? I just want people to understand that. Her writings were so evil, so radical, that there were laws that she actually broke. She got indicted on 3 counts for publication of lewd and indecent articles in violation of the federal Comstock laws. And instead of taking her sentence, because she was facing 5 years of prison, she actually fled. She left the United States of America, and she gave her children to be raised by others, literally shipped them away to be raised by others. And she went to England as a fugitive of justice. Now, when she was in England, she became even more radicalized because she got introduced to the Malthusians. And if you don't know what Malthusianism in essence is, it's named after the early 19th century scientist Thomas Malthus. And if you don't know who he is, I would just tell you, that's an ugly, ugly, ugly man. Ugly, ugly, ugly man. He hypnotized the population into actually thinking. And this was his view. Like literally, this was his hypothesis. This is what he thought. I'll read it. The population of the world grows exponentially while food production doesn't, with the inevitable result of massive starvation. His whole view was something needs to be done to curb the overpopulation problem. By the way, that's what drives the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation right now. That's what drives the World Economic Forum. That is the premise behind all of those things that those guys are doing right now. That's what drives all of them. Klaus Schwab, that's what drives George Soros. All of those guys that are doing these evil things right now are driven by this Malthus ideal.